which there was a $6,000 suite for one night. Just another example of the massive Liberal waste.
The deafening silence over Justin Trudeau's $6,000 a night hotel room. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist with the Toronto Sun. Who stayed in the $6,000 a night hotel room, the one that Canadian taxpayers paid for over 5 nights? Meaning that the total cost of that one hotel room, the one with complimentary butler service and, well, marble flooring with underfloor heating, well, that was $30,000 over 5 nights. That's what we paid for one hotel room during the official delegation of the Queen's funeral. Everybody else stayed in rooms that were just under $2,000 a night, but somebody stayed in a room that was over $6,000. I can tell you now that it was Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I'll get to the details on that in a moment, but you know, those are new details. When Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative leader, asked Justin Trudeau this question in the House of Commons, well, these details weren't yet known.
There's also the $400,000 trip to London, of which there was a $6,000 suite for one night. Just another example of the massive Liberal waste that has contributed to the inflationary deficits we now face. So if he can't tell us which company got the money, can he at least tell us who got the $6,000 a night room?
So that should have been a pretty simple question, right? Trudeau should have been able to answer it. Was it him? Was it the GG? Was it Sandra Oh, the Grey's Anatomy actress? Well, I'll get to why it was Trudeau in a moment, but here's what Trudeau answered.
Mr. Speaker, to mark the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Canada had a large delegation that went to London to the funeral, including a number of former prime ministers and former governors general. We stayed in the same hotel. Mr. Speaker, having a strong Canadian presence there as one of the top realm countries was expected of us, and it was important to see all Canadians so well represented together at the funerals.
Later on, when Quebec Conservative MP Luc Berthold stood up and asked in French who stayed in the famous $6,000 a night room, Trudeau raised the issue of $500 one-time payments to low-income renters. I'm sorry, when you're paying $6,000 a night for a hotel room for 5 nights, using the defense that you've got $500 payments going to low-income renters isn't exactly keeping with the course, right? It's absolutely tone deaf, but that's where Trudeau went. Now, why do we know that this was actually Trudeau? Because it could only be one of two people. It was either going to be the Governor General or it was going to be the Prime Minister. There's no way that Canadian taxpayers footed out $30,000 for 5 nights, $6,000 a night for Sandra Oh or for a former Prime Minister or former Governor General. I've been asking since Monday who stayed in the room, and PMO has been definitely silent on this. They don't want to answer. Same with Global Affairs Canada. But Rideau Hall, the Governor General's office, well, they sent me a very succinct, definitive statement. It read, the Governor General did not stay in the River Suite at the Corinthia Hotel in London. They said any other questions had to go to Global Affairs Canada. This should have been an open and shut case for them, right? It's kind of like how many bricks are in the Peace Tower. It's the type of question that a bureaucrat should be able to answer. But Canada's non-partisan bureaucracy is acting in a decidedly partisan manner. They don't want to answer because it will embarrass their political masters. You know who else doesn't want to talk about this? Canada's Parliamentary Press Gallery. We've had this story out there for 4 days, and I haven't seen anybody talk about it, tweet about it, discuss it in any significant way. They just want to ignore the story. Is it because they just had a cozy Parliamentary Press Gallery dinner with the Prime Minister where he joked about Pierre Poilievre being a Nazi? Is that what's going on? Is it the funding? Look, Post Media gets some of this bailout money, which is far less than the extra money CBC gets. I don't think it's that. I think it's that they just want to protect him. Sure, they were willing to do stories on how much Candice Bergen spent on betting when she moved into Stornoway as the temporary leader of the official opposition. Sure, they were willing to do stories on far less money, of party funds being used by Andrew Scheer to send his kids to a private school, $18,000. for a year. That's less than $30,000 for 5 nights. They were willing to do all those stories, but they're not interested in this. Why is it? Because it's Trudeau. Because they want to protect the guy that they like. That's what's going on here. Whether it's the Parliamentary Press Gallery, the supposedly nonpartisan public service, or the PMO or Global Affairs Canada, they're all protecting the same guy, the guy who stayed in the River Suite, the suite with the complimentary butler service. It's tone deaf, it's out of touch, it's unacceptable, but most of them won't say it. We will. Make sure you share this on social media. Post it on Twitter, on Facebook, and make sure you drop by TorontoSun.com and hit the subscribe button.